In Matthew 5:44, Jesus made what was perhaps his most revolutionary statement of all. In Matthew 5:44, he said that we are to love our enemies rather than hate them. Now, perhaps for some of you, you're thinking, what's so revolutionary about that? Well, back in Jesus' day, it was essentially taught that to be a pious Jew, not only were you to hate the sin, you were also to hate the sinner. The religious authorities had twisted hatred into a virtue, especially if it was directed at the Romans. And sadly, not much has changed over these past 2,000 years. Hatred for one's enemy is sanctioned in our cancel culture today and legitimized in the name of tolerance. So please do stay with me all the way to the end of this video as we look together at these three things. The first is why the Jewish religious leaders in Christ's day legitimized the hatred of one's enemy. Now, the passage that Matthew 5:44 is found in actually begins in verse 43, where Jesus starts off by saying, "You have heard that it has been said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy." Evidently, this was a popular saying back in Jesus' day, although it's not actually found in the Jewish scriptures or what we refer to today as the Old Testament. Rather, it seems to have originated maybe just prior to Christ's day or during it. So why this distortion of the golden rule of loving your neighbor as yourself, which is found in the Old Testament? Well, probably a lot of it had to do with the fact that Israel had been conquered by the pagan Romans, who had troops garrisoned all throughout Israel. And let's just say the Romans weren't very nice. And just like any oppressed people, the Jewish people naturally had feelings of hatred, bitterness, and anger towards the Romans. And human nature being what it is, those feelings were rationalized so that the pious Jew could feel justified in hating the Romans. After all, what would there be to like about your enemy, your oppressor? Why bother showing them any kindness, any respect, any kind gesture? Now, the second point is that hatred is a natural default position of human nature. That's something that we really need to come to terms with. That the natural default position of human nature isn't love, kindness, and empathy, caring and sharing. Rather, it's hatred, anger, bitterness, rage, resentfulness, vengefulness. Anyone who's a parent knows that children don't need to be taught how to be bad. That just comes naturally to them. What they do need to be taught, and constantly, is how to be good. Children are little barbarians who need to be civilized. And even as civilized adults, it's really just a thin veneer. All of those dark tendencies still reside within all of us. We just may express them in more subtle and sophisticated ways than children. And my third point is how we as Christians today must live out this revolutionary command of Christ. Sadly, we're witnessing in real time our culture imploding, our modern culture descending into madness, where angry mobs use social justice as an excuse to riot, burn, loot, and commit acts of mindless violence, where hatred is glamorized and turned into a virtue today, and where adults behave like barbarians and burn civilization to the ground, all allegedly in the name of fighting for the oppressed. But Christ commands us to live differently. If we want to demonstrate to the world that God is love, then we must love those who hate us. We must treat our enemies as we would our neighbors. That is a revolutionary command of Christ. Now, if you think that the message of this video needs to be heard by others, then please do share it. This is a small YouTube channel with limited reach. And if you have just a few more minutes, why not watch some of my other brief videos over there? And if you haven't already, please do consider subscribing, as I put out short videos just like this one every single Thursday. Thanks so much, and bye for now.